we've got the venue already. That's already booked. It's the Canadians Polo Park. And we have a bunch of the rooms there. We have panel rooms, gaming rooms, and a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we're really happy to announce it, and we're getting a lot of support and promises of help, and from the local community, and some from without. Because one of our board members, we actually have a four board. I'm the chairman. Chinona is the vice chair. We have Mike, who's in Saskatchewan. He's actually kind of the head of the Saskatchewan Furry Group. He's always been a really big friend and ally of our group. He comes to Winnipeg a lot. We see him at other conventions, so he was a natural choice to be one of the members of our board, as well as Watuki Heather. She's our secretary treasurer. So we have a good group of people that really want to make this happen. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people were surprised at how far we were along when we actually announced this thing. Because it's one thing to just go, hey, we're bringing a con to Winnipeg, and just like, you do that. You go ahead, run along.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Especially with the wide variety of cons already in the city.
Yeah, Winnipeg is definitely known for its conventions.
Yeah.
I think we've mentioned it about 1,000 times on here that Winnipeg is like the probably the convention capital of the universe. So
quite possibly, it's a great location for it, and that's one of the reasons why we just never realized why Winnipeg didn't have one. Mostly probably because people just didn't either feel like getting organized about it, or and that's fine. But the desire is here. The number of people who want to attend is here. So we just went ahead, started making plans, and here we are, looking forward to August of 2018 being the first Winnipeg Furry Convention, which is really exciting.
Well, after our conversation last year, when you first came on the show, it was not so much of an if, you guys having a convention. It was more of a when.
Well, that's what
you could tell what how you felt about it and all that this was something that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. It was just a when.
Definitely, and that's the kind of attitude you have to take when you're dealing with something like this, right? Like, you got to set that goal and reach for it, and I do have some experience, with some of the behind-the-scenes of conventions. Chinona's been to a few more, been to Furry at least a couple more times, more than I have, but it's a convention that's about the same size as where we want to be in a few years. It started much like ours, just small, and just grew every year. So we've actually, Furry is probably one of the models. We've kind of built things around. We have a great relationship with the staff there, the con board, and they're being very helpful as well.
Are they going to be in attendance for yours as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's Alberta Furs and Saskatchewan Furries especially. We have a lot of them that are already they're salivating, waiting for the actual, the room blocks to open up so we can announce how much the rooms are going to be and when we can register for those. And we open registration, early bird kind of registration, July 1st, of this year for a month to get a special rate, and then, go from there.
That's pretty awesome to open it that soon.
Well, you need to, because this is something we're hoping a lot of people will travel for. We already have interest in every direction, pretty much. So people will need to make travel plans, make vacation plans, and a lot of furries that attend conventions, they make their vacation plans around the cons they're going to. And
I can imagine that.
Like Mike, our board member, he jet sets around North America, and he's got so many con badges, just from various cons, it's like Mr. T, weighing down his neck.
I think I've actually had the pleasure of meeting Mike a few times.
You may have. He's also a munchkin, who's a very colorful furry, very energetic. Man, does that man have energy. Tires me out just watching him.
I definitely feel that sentiment.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to find it, but I have a picture of him from a couple years back.
Yep.
Of him actually, I think, in half a costume.
Okay. Well, generally not something you want.
Yeah.
Like Mike, I don't think really minds. There's some do. Just a hint for you, anyone who's listening. If you ever see a furry who's half out of their suit, don't take pictures.
He actually posed with us.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
Mike doesn't really have that much of a problem with it, but some do, and it's totally understandable.
oh, absolutely, it's kind of your persona.
It's like cosplayers too. Like they don't want to be taken, half out of their cosplay. Just taking a breather to having a drink of water or whatever. So same kind of thing. But we actually, speaking of that, we do have our con policies in the works. We already have the code of conduct ready to go. Which is just a list of, do's and mostly don'ts.
Which are generally, I think, the same on most conventions I've attended, which is actually really, really good.
We want to say they're common sense, but I don't like using that term anymore.
Well, common sense isn't common, so
I know, but it's just a general set of rules that, if we hope we never have to enforce them, but if we do, we have them there, and we can refer to them and just say, hey, what you're doing right now, can you stop it, or we're gonna have to take bigger steps.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like no one ever wants to remove anyone from a convention. No one ever wants to ban anyone from a group. Never. Like no one wants that. And hopefully you don't see that. Like Prairie, for example, I don't think I've ever seen any issues like that.
I've seen a few issues with some of the conventions I've been at, especially the one I was at in Edmonton. It was pretty bad. There was a lot of bad respect there with certain patrons, but other than that
was
generally
like a Comic-Con type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, you generally find a very friendly society within, which is really unique.
I would say so, definitely. Yeah, like there's people understand, I think, a lot more than we give them credit for, but still sometimes common sense just doesn't kick in. When you see someone with their head off or something, just wanting to get some air. That's why we actually have, every convention pretty much has what's called a headless lounge.
Oh, okay.
It's, this year it's a room connecting our dealer's den where all the vendors and artists and everything are. And it has two doors, so one connecting there and one out to the main kind of foyer area. So suitors can go in there if they just need to take 10, and we'll have blowers and fans and stuff like that, lots of water. They can take their heads off, sit. As you can imagine, it gets bloody hot.
Oh, yeah,
it does.
I think the last time you were on, you guys were talking about how some of the suits actually have built-in fans, and oftentimes you'll have just people walking with them, with balls of long straws so they could go off and take drinks.
Yeah, handlers.
Yeah,
most furries will, if they're in suit or in their partial, if their head's on, basically they'll for the most part require a handler. The handler's job is to not only look out for them, but for people around them, because the visibility in those things, for the most part, is pretty crap.
I actually walked around HorrorCon dressed as Mike Myers, and I had the mask on. I had
those little eye slits, right? Imagine that.
Oh yeah,
and maybe with a film in front of it now.
I actually had someone walking around with me, carrying water, doing the talking for me, because it was way too much energy just to talk in those things.
There's people that, will kind of horse around, tug on the tail, or, just kind of be jerks, but, I don't know if they're really mean to be, but, it's usually the kids.
I'm just trying to get my son to go off and actually be comfortable around furries right now. The last couple times that we've been to conventions and we've seen, furries, he's gotten spooked. No. And I just it's oh, no, it's okay. And then he's trying to hide and everything. I says, okay, we'll work on this.
I can see why it can be kind of intimidating. On the other end of the spectrum, a lot of kids react extremely well because it's some of their favorite animals come to life. Teddy bears and plush toys come to life. Whereas others, because suits, you're adding a lot of mass when you put one of these suits on, so you become a much bigger individual. And I could completely see how someone could react that way. And quite frankly, I don't know how to,
it's
other than just interacting and hopefully, it that changes for him, which would be nice. I'd really like that too, but
Well, I mean, my son used to be afraid of bunny rabbits, so he managed to get through that. So I'm pretty sure we'll get him through this as well.
yeah. Well, that's we do our best not to be scary. Like we try to furries are generally regarded as friendly, love hugs, and very animated. So
I think that's why it's always entertaining to see you guys at all these conventions.
Yeah.
It's that friendly face.
Yeah. Well, that's what we intend. Winnipeg and Manitoba Furries before us, Wild Prairie Furs. We want to be out in public. We want to be visible. We want to be in the light, because there are some negative aspects about the fandom that are out there.
Yeah.
And the more you stick to the darkness, and the more you be avoiding of questions, and the more you're hiding, the more those can gain ground. So we choose not to spend our energies, dissuading people from those ideas, because why? We're not going to. Let's put our best paw forward, as it were, and
Exactly.
Let's show you what we are instead of trying to tell you what we're not, and that's kind of been our mandate for the longest time.
And we the last time you were on, we actually went off and we discussed a lot of this stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'll probably do is I'll probably end up posting that episode. So if you guys have are really interested to find out more about Wild Prairie Furs, we had a one whole other episode here with Sean, which was pretty awesome. I will say this, that after we went off the air in that episode, the conversation that we had afterwards was dynamite, and I wish we had recorded that.
I kind of wish too. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was. Oftentimes, I mean, when we have guests on here, oftentimes the conversations we have when we go off the air are even more entertaining than the ones we have when we are on the air. It's
it's unfortunate how that happens.
Yeah. Oh well, it's as long as we get the content we want, right?
oh, exactly.
I would just if I could take just a few minutes to kind of outline some of the stuff that's going to be going on.
Please do, absolutely.
So anyone who's been to a furry convention will probably recognize a lot of this stuff because it's mostly common throughout. But we're going to have at least one artist guest of honor who we have someone in kind of picked right now. It's not public knowledge. And they do also, because the theme for this one is in a galaxy fur away. So you can imagine we're not going to say any licensing of who may own that type of idea. But she has actually done licensed work for that company as an artist.
Okay.
So it was a natural choice, and she's also a big friend of the group, and she's dynamic, and she does a lot of panels and cons and everything like that. We're currently looking into some other guests of honor, and they would be bigger names in the furry community.
Okay.
Some famous fursuiters, some are famous for how their suits and how they portray their suits. So we're looking at bringing them in. They'll be running panels and probably doing a stage show of some kind. We have one room set up like a theater, so there's going to be the guests of honor, a guest of honor dinner, which allows certain people to join them for dinner, like a big dinner, and some will even have a kind of a meet and greet, for a certain level of sponsorship and things like that. These are all perks for the most part of sponsorship, spending a little bit more money to attend the con. You get these extra, like other conventions. I think C4 has, their gold and silver and, memberships where you actually get, early access to the vendors area, plus you get a signed print from one that you choose, all that kind of stuff. So it's perks. A t-shirt, branded for the con.
Perks are always good.
Yeah. We have multiple panels that will be going on, things like fursuit building, how to interact with the media, because that's actually a very important thing for furries. How to bring fursuits to life. Just things about the furry community that are kind of important. People want to learn from people who have been doing it for a while. Chinona's doing a panel at Prairie about difference between eyeballing and referencing when it comes to creating art. So she may be doing something similar at Wild Prairie FurCon. So we'll have panels. We also have a 24-hour gaming room. which we're really kind of excited about. It's actually a very large panel room. We're going to have all kinds of board games, video games, and it's going to be 24 hours. Like, most of the stuff shuts down at a certain time until the next day. But this is going to, like, so 4 in the morning, if you want to